and you think you have won. But death is only another portal. Next time I see you, I will not bring fighters. I will bring armies.
You will return to Outworld at once.
What happens next?
Today we are victorious. But there are other enemies to fight. I'll assemble a new list of champions. You must find them.
Who's first? My man, he's just about to call you. I need you tomorrow night.
Sorry, my days fighting for $200 are done.
Where are you gonna go?
Hollywood.
Hollywood? What the hell's in Hollywood?
Not what? Who?
Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my Mortal Kombat movie ending and credit scene video. I'll also explain what they've said about the sequels. There's obviously clear setup for what's happening in the next movie, but they have multiple movies planned that they've talked about. So if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Obviously, careful for spoilers if you have not seen the movie yet, because we're talking about the ending and everything that happens during the film, all the Easter eggs. But you finally get your big answer about Johnny Cage, where he was during the events of this movie and why they weren't hyping him up until the very end of the film. So I'll explain what the director said about Johnny Cage himself, as well as some of the other characters and some of the other actors from this film, like Sub-Zero. The person who plays him said that he was signed to a 5-movie contract, just giving you an idea for how they're plotting all these films out. But the whole thing with the movie is that they actually don't do the tournament itself that you would expect them to do, like they did during the events of the original Mortal Kombat movie in 1995. It's meant to be more of a prequel movie, so the writer and the producers explained that they developed this arc as a trilogy of movies. The first one's supposed to be a prequel, world building, introducing some of the core concepts and characters. Like, you learn about the tournament, they talk about it a lot through the POV characters, which are mostly the mains from Earthrealm and mostly the Cole character, who is Scorpion's descendant, and whose powers, although a little bit different, bear some similarities to the Hellfire that Scorpion wields. He unlocks most of his special powers, but you don't see too many crazy fatalities from him. Like, almost all the characters do a version of one of their fatalities from the video game series. Most of the characters in the video game series eventually learn multiple different fatalities. But towards the end of the movie, Shang Tsung uses Cabal to tempt Kano to turn against Raiden and the Earthrealm champions and lower the protective enchantment that he raised around the Temple of Light to prevent Shang Tsung and his champions from Outworld from killing all the Earthrealm champions before the tournament could actually begin, as a way to circumvent this big prophecy involving Scorpion. The whole thing with the prophecy is that when the movie picks up in present day, Raiden says the Earthrealm has lost the last 9 tournaments to Outworld, and if they lose the next one that's coming up in the sequel movie, Mortal Kombat 2 or whatever they decide to call it, per the traditional rules of the Mortal Kombat multiverse via the video games, Outworld will gain control of Earthrealm, and even though they don't explicitly say this in the movie, if that were to happen, the ruler of Outworld, Shao Kahn, who you see images of during the movie in statues a couple times, but he himself probably won't appear on screen until the sequel. If they win the 10th consecutive tournament, Shao Kahn will be able to merge Earthrealm with Outworld and expand its power. There's a lot of arguments about whether or not Shao Kahn is an actual god. He's not a god in the same way that Raiden is a god, but he's about as powerful as Raiden, and he's ancient just like Raiden. But Shang Tsung is able to kill a couple of the Earthrealm champions, so press F in the chat to pay respects to Kung Lao. And even though Kano switched sides, Sonya Blade winds up killing him to take his mark, making her the next Earthrealm champion. Even though he was a bastard, technically he was a member of Earthrealm's champions. They get kind of crazy with it because Bi-Han, for instance, the Sub-Zero character, was originally one of the Earthrealm champions back in the 1600s before he became full Sub-Zero, but then at some point he turned sides and became a champion for Shao Kahn. So the same thing happened with Cabal's character because he said he had history with Kano, like they knew each other from Earth. And the whole twist with Kano switching sides is also meant to be a reference to the video game series, because technically he is one of the antagonists from the video game that you fight. And in the original Mortal Kombat movie in the 1990s, it's kind of the same dynamic. Kano was probably one of the best parts of this movie. He stole almost every scene that he was in. But the whole third act of the movie is basically Shang Tsung's champions, Goro, Sub-Zero, Cabal, Raiko, Melina, Nitara, Shang Tsung himself invading the Temple of Light, as the Earthrealm champions are still trying to learn to unlock their special powers. Slowly, with a lot of fatalities from the video games, they are able to kill all of Shang Tsung's team. The reason why they say the Scorpion versus Sub-Zero fight, where they hype it up so much, is because they're kind of going with that video game dynamic of the way they plot the fights out, and Sub-Zero is meant to be the final boss of this first movie. Not including Shang Tsung himself, because he is more powerful. Shang Tsung doesn't really fight during the film. Like when Kung Lao challenges him, he just says, "You're beneath me, you're not worth my time," and sets Nitara after him. Because in the video game series, Shang Tsung is meant to be the final boss of the first tournament arc. So that part of the movie was just a clever wink at that. Like he's saying, I'm not going to fight until someone on your team defeats all my champions in the tournament during the sequel movie. It was the same situation in the original 1995 Mortal Kombat movie, with Liu Kang not really fighting Shang Tsung until the very end of the film. And Shang Tsung in this new movie does act similarly to classic Shang Tsung. He does kill people, he does use his sorcery to steal Kung Lao's soul, just like he stole souls in the original movie. But in that final boss fight, Cole takes on Sub-Zero after he goads him into a fight using his family, trapping them in that MMA facility, the gym, where he fights all of his fights earlier in the film. Not sure why Sub-Zero decided to take his family there of all places, but they actually turn the gym into a full version of Sub-Zero's lair from the video game series, like his level from the original Mortal Kombat video game. The fights are all pretty fantastic, pretty bloody during the film, but as you would expect, he kicks Cole's ass until he instinctively grabs Scorpion's original dagger that was given to him by Raiden earlier in the movie. And even though they don't fully explain this part, he uses it to summon Scorpion from the Netherrealm. So the Netherrealm is the part of the Mortal Kombat multiverse that's supposed to be like their version of Hell, but is just a separate dimension, a separate realm, like Earthrealm and Outworld are separate realms of the multiverse. Cole had been getting visions of Scorpion throughout the entire movie, asking for him to release him without really understanding what it meant. And over the centuries in the Netherrealm, Scorpion had learned to unlock his powers, like you see everyone doing earlier in the movie. They also explain the fire he wields is Hellfire from the Netherrealm, because technically he is undead now. But he and Cole tag team Sub-Zero, who presumably has been kept alive this whole time since the 1600s through Shang Tsung's magic and his own special abilities. Both he and Scorpion were originally marked as champions of Earthrealm. They both had the mark. That's why they have special powers. Then Scorpion uses his fatality from the video game series from the first Mortal Kombat video game, killing Sub-Zero with his fire breath. His head doesn't go full skeleton like it did in the original game, but you do see a little of the skeleton there. He thanks Cole for freeing him and asks him to protect his bloodline, then presumably returns to the Netherrealm. They didn't say how many movies were on his contract, the actor here, but of course I think Scorpion will come back in the sequels. He was one of the best parts of the movie. Why wouldn't they bring him back if they're going to be bringing Sub-Zero back in 4 other movies? But then Shang Tsung enters and claims that he has many more fighters where these ones came from, which is a reference to the much deeper roster of characters from the video game sequels, like Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3. Then says death is only another portal, like death is not the end, sending Sub-Zero and Goro's bodies back to Outworld. So if you have not played the video games, that's meant to be a reference to Sub-Zero becoming Noob Saibot in the video game series. After the original Sub-Zero was killed in the lore, he was turned into a wraith in the Netherrealm, becoming Noob Saibot, who was a secret unlockable character during the second Mortal Kombat video game. So this is them just teasing that he's going to come back as that character in the sequel, and the actor who plays him, who was fantastic, obviously said he was signed for 5 movies. Here's the thing though, remember how I said the writer of the film said that they were developing a trilogy? What are those other 2 movies on his contract? Well, they probably have plans, even though they haven't talked about it explicitly, to do a movie just based on Sub-Zero's story, like do a Sub-Zero movie all about him, just set during a different part of the timeline. Because why wouldn't they try to take this to a very Marvel Cinematic Universe place where you do a bunch of interconnected movies apart from the main franchise? Like you assume the Avengers movies are the basic main franchise and all the solo movies are kind of like the spin-offs. So they'll probably try to do spin-off movies for the biggest, most important characters. I hope that they try to do a Scorpion movie at some point. I actually think that the first Mortal Kombat movie would have been an even better film if they would have just focused more on the Scorpion character. Like, I think we're all in agreement that one of the best parts of the movie is that opening scene with Scorpion and Sub-Zero. But then Shang Tsung says that he's going to bring armies next time in the tournament that they're still getting ready for, and that's also meant to be a teaser for the third film in the trilogy that they're developing, in the main series at least, because the whole idea, the whole arc of this, is that Earthrealm probably does wind up winning the tournament, saving themselves per the rules, but Shang Tsung and Shao Kahn break the rules of the tournament and wind up invading Earthrealm anyway. Which is kind of the plot of that Mortal Kombat Annihilation sequel movie from way back in the 90s. Please don't go and watch it if you haven't seen it yet. I mean, you can, but it is not a good film. But I think the whole idea they're envisioning this invasion that happens after the tournament is this Avengers Infinity War or Avengers Endgame type of movie with Thanos' invasion. There are a couple times during this first movie when Shang Tsung references the Elder Gods of the Mortal Kombat multiverse, admitting to Raiden that yes, I might be trying to break the rules by killing all your champions before the actual tournament starts to prevent the tournament from happening so that there is zero chance of you winning. That's the whole prophecy about Scorpion, that someone from his bloodline will be the key to Earthrealm winning the tournament and stopping them from taking over Earthrealm. So that's why they want to kill all the champions before that could happen. But normally when you break the rules of the Mortal Kombat multiverse, the Elder Gods are supposed to punish you, but Shang Tsung's joke during the movie that he tells is that the Elder Gods are way too lazy to care enough about the mortal realms to prevent him and Shao Kahn from doing whatever they want to do. Which is another subtle reference to the video game series. It's a joke in the video game series that the current Elder Gods are super lazy and couldn't be bothered to do pretty much anything. There have actually been some hints in the most recent iterations of the game that eventually the Earthrealm champions will replace them as future Elder Gods, but I think they're saving that twist for some future game in the series. Then Raiden teleports Shang Tsung back to Outworld, also teasing their eventual battle, like eventually they'll legit fight each other because in the games, Raiden is a playable character. And he says he's going to find more champions for Earthrealm to build out their team, and it's up to these guys to go out and find them and help train them before the tournament starts in the sequel. Then after a short time jump, enough time for all of Sub-Zero's ice to melt away from the gym here, Cole packs up his things and says he's heading to Hollywood to find the next champion. In so many words, like he says he's heading to Hollywood, not for what, but for who. And they pan across the poster of Johnny Cage as the classic Mortal Kombat theme music starts playing over the credits, answering everyone's questions about where the hell Johnny Cage was during this movie. So I am kind of sad that they had to lose Kano in this first movie because he was pretty fantastic. He was one of the best parts of the film. But everyone let me know in the comments, which other characters from the video game series do you want them to include just beyond the core characters? Because there are many, many other characters that they can do. I don't know if they're actually going to get into the crazy cosmic level stories anytime soon because it just sounds like by the end of this trilogy in the franchise, they're mostly just covering the initial tournament arc and Shao Kahn's invasion of Earth. It's a little early to say whether or not they're actually going to get to that third movie, but I think for sure they will make the sequel. Also, everybody leave your suggestions for who you want them to cast as Johnny Cage in the comments. Everyone click here to rewatch that opening scene for my other Mortal Kombat movie video, and click here for my full Marvel Falcon and Winter Soldier Episode 6 finale video. Thank you so much for watching, flawless victory everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.